Hello, everyone, and welcome to Key to Theosophy 18. Key to Theosophy 18. I have moved them to be about 2.5 weeks to 3 weeks apart, the Key to Theosophies, because we're doing live Light on the Path book studies here on this channel, and we're trying to get twice a month, one every 2.5 weeks. And also 18 is just my way of keeping records here on formerly Yogi Theosophy. We have now changed our name to Live Theosophy. I don't know if that's backwards or not, but Live Theosophy makes so much more sense. One, because we do go live, can be live, but it really is to become the application, not just to study it. So Yogi, it made sense to me because the inspiration for the name and for finding these teachings, what it was that led me to these teachings, was a book called about yogi philosophy and Oriental occultism. So Yogi Theosophy seemed to make sense, especially when this was voiced. I voiced this one in 2014 and 15, put that up on YouTube. It's here available for free. Written down by William Walker Atkinson, talking about Light on the Path. I voiced that one too. That's on this channel for free if you'd like to listen to that. So the name Yogi Theosophy became this brand, which has now become very, there's lots of work to do. And my whole goal is to be of purpose and to ease the unnecessary suffering in the world, to help to ease that. By changing myself, I realize that I can make a change by changing myself in my immediate vicinity. So the study, application, and digestion of these teachings is imperative, absolutely imperative. So that is why we're doing these lessons. So anyway, if you look back through the channel, you'll see the evolution. So now we are Live Theosophy. Okay, so on all of the social media channels, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, also Periscope is Live Theosophy, but we do a little more of our daily lives on Periscope, so you're welcome to join us there too. It's what we're doing when we're not doing these studies. So as we move forward into 18, this book written down 130 years ago. However, these teachings are ancient. They are as old as time itself, if not older. They belong to everyone and solely to no one, like the sunlight. Okay, let's think of it like that. Okay, because we're going to talk about that later in this section. The sun. Okay, there's the sun. We all have the same sunlight, but we don't own the sun. Okay. So moving into page 68 to 71. Hang on a moment. That's nice. It's cinnamon tea. I've got the windows open as well. And our house here is it's 500 years old. It's, well, remodeled 500 years ago. So you might see some things flying around. It's interesting. Some people have commented on that. And yes, there are orbs in this room. And they seem to like it when we talk about theosophy. So here we go. Written in question and answer form. This is really the introduction of Theosophy. I highly recommend reading the text for yourself. I am simply a student, and I'm sharing and reading these texts with you so you can discover them. If you're Googling different things, you come across them like I did. The application of them has given me a calmer, more peaceful, more purposeful life, a better life. And it's not a religion, so it's not. It's really the root of all the world's religions, philosophies, and sciences. So let's get to it. Inquirer, do you mean to say, okay, so sorry, we're in section 5, the fundamental teachings of theosophy. Finishing up, is it necessary to pray? Inquirer, do you mean to say that prayer is an occult process bringing about physical results? Theosophist, I do. Will power, the power of the will, becomes a living power. But woe to those occultists and theosophists who, instead of crushing out the desires of the lower personal ego or physical man, the being of the senses, and saying, addressing their higher spiritual ego immersed in Atma Buddhic light, thy will be done, not mine, etc. They send up waves of power for selfish or unholy purposes. Now, I'll explain more of this in layman's terms, or as I understand it. I highly recommend not taking my understanding. You are the temple. You are the vessel. You apply these teachings and understand them for yourself. This cannot be taught or bought, but it's the same way as digesting your food. Only you can digest your food. Okay. Same as this spiritual food. So it isn't me, it's you. Okay, so woe. Where are we? Woe. Hang on, where is it? But woe to those occultists and theosophists who, instead of crushing out the desires of the lower personal ego or physical man and addressing their higher spiritual ego immersed in Buddhic light, thy will be done, not mine. And I look up like that, but I should be doing this. That's an old habit. Thy will be done, not mine. Instead, they send up waves of willpower for selfish or unholy purposes. For this is black magic. This is truly black magic, abomination and spiritual sorcery, using source for selfish needs or wishes. Unfortunately, all this is the favorite occupation of your Christian statesmen and generals, especially when the latter are sending out two armies to murder each other. Two armies to murder each other. They're praying to their God, that their side win. God is on our side. That would sound familiar, probably. Both indulge before action in a bit of such sorcery by offering respectively prayers to the same God of hosts, each entreating his help to cut his enemies' throats. Inquirer. David prayed to the Lord of hosts to help him smite, which is now synonymous with religious or biblical lashing or punishment. But smite, truly translated, means strike or bang or wallop or bash. So, Inquirer asks the Theosophist, David prayed to the Lord of hosts to help him smite the Philistines and slay the Syrians and the Moabites, and the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went, in that we only follow what we find in the Bible. Theosophist says, of course you do. But since you delight in calling yourselves Christians, not Israelites or Jews, as far as we know, why do you not rather follow that which Christ says? It's a good question. Why do Christians not follow that which Christ says? And distinctly he commands you to not follow them of old times, of Mosaic law, but bids you to do as he tells you. And he warns those who would kill by the sword, that they too will perish by the sword. You've heard that. Those who live by the sword die by the sword. Christ has given you one prayer of which you have made a lip prayer and a boast, lip service, and which none but the true occultist understands. In it you say, in your dead sense meaning, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors, which you never do. He told you to love your enemies and do good to them that hate you. It is surely not the meek prophet of Nazareth who taught you to pray to your Father to slay and give you victory over your enemies. This is why we reject what you call prayers. Inquirer. But how do you explain the universal fact that all nations and peoples have prayed to and worshipped a god or gods? Some have adorned and propitiated, which means soothed or appeased, devils and harmful spirits. But this only proves the universality of the belief of the efficacy of prayer. Remember, efficacy, efficientness. Okay, at the bottom of this page, I'm doing a little digression here because I want to explain something. In the original text, which I have attached a link to, this is at the bottom of page 69, there is an F that is mysteriously down at the corner of the page. Earlier in these teachings, I did not have a facsimile of this book. I actually had a copy of it. So I did not see the original facsimile. The original book, written down 130 years ago, has an alphabetical order-keeping system in addition to the numbers on the pages. So there is an F on page 69. I find that important to mention for those of you who are really, really studying and digesting this. This F is simply an alphabetical organization in the book. Okay, so Theosophist answers, it is explained by that other fact that prayer has several other meanings besides that given by the Christians. It means not only a pleading or petition, but meant in days of old, far more an invocation and incantation. Just listen. The mantra, or the rhythmically chanted prayer of the Hindus, has precisely such a meaning. The Brahmins, which means the highest Hindu caste, the priestly class, one who's attained the highest spiritual knowledge, the Brahmins. The Brahmins hold themselves higher than the common devas. Deva means celestial being or a deity. So, okay, the Brahmins hold themselves higher than the common devas or gods. A prayer may be an appeal or an incantation for malediction. Malediction is synonymous with hex, okay? Or it can mean a curse. And in the case of two armies praying simultaneously for mutual destruction, as much as for a blessing. So, it can be a hex, it can be a curse. So who's winning in that? If you pray to slay your enemies on the battlefield, they're praying to slay you. Whose war is it? Is it yours? Or is it some guy back at headquarters? That's a digression. That's not in the text. Okay, and as the great majority of people are intensely selfish. Okay, this was written down at the end of the 19th century. I find this to still be the case. Unfortunately, majority of people are intensely selfish. And they pray only for themselves, asking for their daily bread instead of working for it, and begging God not to lead them into temptation, but deliver them, the memorialists, only from evil. A memorialist is one who has written a memorial. It's not really used that much these days. So the result is that prayer, as now understood, is doubly pernicious. Pernicious is a word we don't use often, but it means evil or wicked. It kills in man self-reliance, and B, it develops in him a still more ferocious selfishness, as if we need any more selfishness. It develops in him a still more ferocious selfishness and egotism that he is already endowed with by nature. Theosophist says here, I repeat that we believe in communion and simultaneous action in unison with our Father in secret. Now, this is discussed in the last study. Father in secret, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Father in secret, the Father within. And in rare moments of ecstatic bliss, in the mingling of our higher soul with the universal essence, attracted as it is towards its origin and center, a state during life called samadhi. And in death, after death, it's called nirvana. We refuse to pray to created finite beings, i.e. gods, saints, and angels, etc., because we regard it as idolatry. We cannot pray to the absolute for reasons explained before. And absolute is capitalized all the way across. It's very important if you can watch these lessons or read back in the text. We cannot pray to the absolute for reasons explained before. Therefore, we try to replace fruitless and useless prayer by meritorious, which means worthy, and good producing actions. Okay, this power within to communicate with Source should be used for good, and you can and you will access this if you look within. Inquirer, that's a digression too, sorry. That last statement. Inquirer, Christians would call it pride and blasphemy. Are they wrong? Theosophist says entirely so. It is they, on the contrary, who show satanic pride. Okay, calm down. Just listen. In the belief that the absolute or the infinite, even if there was such a thing as the possibility of any relation between unconditioned and conditioned, will stoop to listen to every foolish or egotistical prayer. And it is they again who virtually blaspheme in teaching that an omniscient and omnipotent God needs uttered prayers to know what he has to do. This, understood esoterically, is corroborated by both Buddha and Jesus. Okay. The one, Buddha, says, seek not from the helpless gods, pray not, but rather act, for darkness will not brighten. Ask not from silence, for it can neither speak nor hear. And the other, Jesus, recommends, whatsoever ye ask, in the name of my name, Christos, in my name, that will I do. Of course, this quotation, and this is important, if you take this quotation literally, if this is taken in the literal sense, it goes against our argument. But if we accept it esoterically, with the full knowledge of the meaning of the term Christos, which to us represents the Atma Buddhi Manas, the self, which self is capitalized. It's not an individual self. It's not a human being running around being more important than all the other beings, but the true self. It comes to this, that the only God we must recognize and pray to, or rather act in unison with, is that Spirit of God, of which our body is the temple, and in which it dwelleth. So I know, I understand, and I do try to respond to each one of your comments, and it's getting a lot. There's a lot of commentary, which is great. And I highly recommend listening to what this text is saying. These teachings are ancient, and they have been used. People have gotten a hold of these teachings and used them for self. Aleister Crowley is one that comes to mind right off the top. There have been many. And I understand exploring, trying to figure out what is this that we're talking about. Does this mean that we are God? No. Let's go back to the sunlight, okay? The sun is the sun. We all have the sunlight. All right. And all of us have those divine sparks within all beings, all things, but especially within humans, which is the highest level of matter here, the highest level of matter, and where spirit is coming. You have the highest level of matter, and that is a 6-sided star, the Star of Solomon, highest level of matter where spirit and matter meet. In man, this spark, if we can recognize this as the sun, okay? You are not the sun if you are the flame. You are the sunlight, and it is in all of us. Even those you really, really, really disagree with, and even those that are all different religions. In the description of what we do here on Live Theosophy, I have mentioned, what is the term? Hang on one second. Omnism. Omnism, which is a term that was coined in the 19th century, which means that there is a belief that none of the religions hold all of the truth, but there is some truth within all of the religions. That truth can be found in these ancient teachings. You will also find it, you can also find it in the Bhagavad Gita. You can find it in the Kabbalah, in the Jewish mysticism. You can find it in the Vedas, the Upanishads. If you look, you can find these teachings. I have found that through the application and living these teachings, that my life has changed. Physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, in every way, for the better. I am not looking at benefits for self. If you find selfishness, greed, ignorance, superstition, fear, those things, whoosh, okay, division, whoosh, this is anti-bigotry. This is all men created equal. This truth can be found in all of the world's religions, but somewhere, somehow, the egotistical, selfish man has come up and made it about themselves and gold-plated ceilings and big fat Rolls Royces and mega churches, okay? This can be applied wherever you are, whenever you find these teachings. If you come across these, please look at the link below. This is the original text of the Key to Theosophy. This is a good place to start if you want to find out what the mystery schools are all about. This is it, okay? Well, this is where I started, and I have found that the more that I study, the more my life improves, the more insatiable I am to be of service. It's strange. This crushing compassion comes through, and it really is. It makes sense, this empathy and unity to be of service. So that's why, as a former broadcaster, I'm even on this channel doing this, because I believe that somebody might stumble across this and be able to benefit in the same ways that I have. And then they go out, and by changing their lives, they help. The healing begins wherever they are. As my husband says, healing by contagion. So that's 18. There we go. So on this channel, you'll also see that we do live book studies of Light on the Path. Light on the Path is an extraordinary, small text, but a powerful text. And so we go live on this channel as well. You can see the Secret Doctrine there. In the Secret Doctrine, here we go. In the Secret Doctrine, which is, there's also Isis Unveiled. These huge amounts of texts came through at the end of the 19th century. But these are not exclusive, and that's not all that there is. But this is a textbook for humanity. And it is not about the writer, all right? Everybody pays so much attention to the pencil. instead of what is being written. I mean, do you look at your phone and go, oh my God, the phone, oh my God, the phone. You're looking at what's coming through the phone. You're watching your phone, okay? Your friends are talking, you're reading things. It isn't the phone itself, it's what's coming through, okay? So stop paying attention and let us stop paying attention to who wrote it down. And are they more sacred than everyone else? No, they're not. They just happen to be in the right place, the right time, and they qualify to write these teachings down. And it is not solely Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. It is not solely the Theosophical Society. It is not something that can only belong to the Masons or anyone else. And I can understand why they'd want to keep it out of the hands of people who would use it for nefarious means. And I'm disappointed constantly that there are more people that would use it for selfish means. But there are people out there that won't and that will use it for the benefit of others, because the very fundamental truth in theosophy is to live to benefit mankind is the first step. And if that sentence resonates with you, then keep studying, keep applying, keep digesting, and study these teachings for yourself. This is a phenomenal text. It's also voiced and free up here on this channel. You can find it over at, it is still Yogi Theosophy as of right now. It will be soon Live Theosophy. And these texts are available for free download. You can find them from other sources as well. The Voice of the Silence, Light on the Path. Today we studied the Key to Theosophy. And these, the Secret Doctrine, Isis Unveiled, read small chunks and apply them. If you try to read it with your mind, your intellectual mind, if you line up your purpose to be of service to humanity and it is selfless and you're not drinking, using drugs, whoring around, sorry, but if lust is removed, then it becomes more clear. If you stop eating meats, it becomes more clear. I don't know how else to say it. I'm just going to be direct. I'm tired of farting around and being delicate. I'm telling you, it's important. I believe it's very important. And I'm grateful that you're here. And I love you very much. And I'll see you next time here on Live Theosophy. I love you.